And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China.
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing. Yes.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, you know, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean,
over the Caribbean,
South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Hope you guys had a great Shabbat. Hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Hope and pray that you guys got the proper rest, the necessary rest that's required of us. So I pray that you guys had a great Shabbat. I pray that for those that do have a place of worship, I pray that you went out to those places of worship. And I pray for those that don't have a place of worship. I want to apologize to you guys because normally I try to go live with our Shabbat. And excuse me 1 second, got to sneeze. I thought I had to sneeze, but we didn't do it today. I'm going to upload the lesson because we licensed minister today at our assemblies. A very blessed day, and I'm going to upload the message for you guys to see. So we didn't have our Shabbat service broadcasted because some things I like to just keep internal, but we are going to broadcast this message, and we're going to broadcast part of the charge that we gave him on that day. And I will say this, family, in spite of what things may look like, be encouraged. You know, the minister did a wonderful job today. And one thing that really stood out for me from his lesson that he taught in his initial sermon, some places will call it the trial sermon, but it was this initial message, right? And what really stood out is the one thing he said repeatedly is showing up. You know, show up. And the reason why I say show up is because you never know what can happen when you show up. And we're going to go and give shout outs, but I just want to share this real quick. The minister that we licensed today, right? I met him at almost 6 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long, family. Time is flying. Almost 6 years ago when I spoke at the Black Lives Matter march that went viral, right? And little did I know that that was even going to happen. You know, my daughter and her friend wanted to go to the park and pray, have a prayer vigil for two brothers that were shot in different situations, murdered by the police officers. And so they wanted to go to the park and pray. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go there because it was going to be some of their friends. I said, I'm going to be there just so that way there's an elder there, just in case something may happen or jump off. At least I am there to watch over them and protect them. And so, make a long story short, I got asked a question about what I think that is about the things that's happening to Black people, to our people. And I asked him the question. I said, do you really want to know the answer? He said, yeah. I said, for starters, let me give you a proper understanding of when you say Black, what it means. And little did I know that was the person that asked me that question was a Black Lives Matter representative. And he said to me, like, hey, you know, we having a 1,500 or 1,000 or 1,500 men march, and would like you to come out and share what you just shared there. He said, you have 10 minutes. You know, we give you a 10-minute floor to say exactly what you said here. And guess what, family? I got, I accepted the opportunity to spread this truth. And little did I know that at least one person was going to truly be blessed from it. But that video went viral. But make a long story short, I was getting ridiculed by pastors like, oh, the BLM, the Black Lives Matter, they're scammers. Not they weren't even saying scammers. They were saying they support the homosexual movement. They support this. They support that. They support this. And for me, I made it clear that I could care less about their agenda. What I care about is doing what the Messiah would do. And that is when you know that it's going to be that amount of people out there, that's a perfect opportunity to take our net and cast it into the deep. So I said it'd be good for the pastors to go out here and show leadership and be the solution for those that want to or may have questions. But make a long story short, I went to the Black Lives Matter march, and when I did this message, right, when I did this lesson, and this is not the whole speech, right, not lesson, but the speech, right, but this was the icebreaker that the Most High gave me on the fly. This wasn't premeditated. This icebreaker that you hear, and I'm gonna play it one more time. This icebreaker was something that was not planned, and let me play it real quick. This is the icebreaker.
And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China.
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
See, family, that wouldn't have happened if I would allow the naysayers, those pastors that was trying to badmouth me, prophets that was trying to badmouth me, because I'm going out there to witness. I'm going out there to use it as an opportunity to cast my net. Now, what you see in that camera, that particular angle, that it was almost 5,000 people out there. And we walk, we march. And the sad thing about it, I was the only pastor out there. But you know what happened? That icebreaker that you hear, guess what? That confusion that you hear, there was a young man that was there that was part of that confusion, and he was confused. But when he heard the full speech that I gave, he didn't know where I was located at. I didn't give out cards. I didn't give out all kinds of things. I didn't even tell the people where our ministry is. I just did what the Most High told me to do, and I got out of there. So, you know, this young man searched for our ministry, found where we were located at, and he's been with us ever since. This young man, you know, married now. We married him. Family, taught him ministry, and now he just gave his initial message, being completely, fully awakened to who he is. You know, family, it would not have happened had I not made myself available. When Abraham said, when the Most High called him and said, Abraham, you know, hey, where are you? Early in the morning, call Abraham early in the morning. And Abraham said, here am I. Guess what? That is a phrase of availability. Abraham was saying, hey, regardless, Most High, Yahweh, you know what? I know it's in the wee hours, but guess what? You call, I'm going to jump in formation. I'm available. Anytime. I'm available to you. So family, start learning how to show up. Don't get caught up what you hear people saying and trying to cast doubts. You show up, because you never know. There may be somebody like the minister that now just gave his initial sermon, proclaiming his call to all. You never know. That Most High can use that opportunity to change someone's life just by you showing up, even when people tell you you shouldn't show up, even when people are doubting you, even when people are trying to talk bad about you, you still show up. It's not about the numbers, but it is about the Most High. It is about Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. It is about the Rawak HaKodash, the Holy Spirit. And ultimately, it's about being obedient. That's what it means. See, that's what it means. See, I love this YouTube thing, the social media thing. It's good. But family, just like reading a book on Kindle, right? Every now and then it's good to go through the pages of some good books. Like, you know, it's good. As you can see, if you saw my whole office here, I got books on top of books. It's good to go through books like this and just be able to flip through the pages. You know what I mean? Flip through the pages, you know. I mean, it's good to go through books like this and you discover some things that you can't even discover in the Kindle, you know, that you would not see in the Kindle. I like to go through books like this. You know what I mean? That you would not be able to find on the Kindle. It's good to go through books like this. Let me show you another book. It's good to go through books like this, right? Let me show you something that you won't find on the Kindle. It's good to go through books like this. Some things you just can't get in the quick, fast, in a hurry. Some things you can't get in the app. It's good to go through even simple books like this. Let me put it up here. It's good to go through simple books like this. I got all kinds of books that's stacked up inside this office, family. Why? Because it's nothing like being able to go through the pages. It's nothing like going through the pages, family, and kind of putting everything in its proper perspective to remember why you do what you do, why we're called to do and be who we are. That's why the scripture makes it clear that the Most High is a very present help in the time of trouble. Right? A very present help. So family, what if the Most High reduced us to a Bible app? What if the Most High reduced us to a social media site? How he respond to us. So family, that's why I want to make it clear, man, show up. Show up, family. Even when people are doubting you, even when people want to talk about you, even when people want to twist your words around, show up. Show up. All right. So let me give some shout outs here. Let's get into it. I just had to share that testimony and I will upload his message. He gave an awesome message and we prayed over him. We gave him his charge and he's moving forward. He's moving forward to go out and reach the young men because he worked with the youth. Right? I'm just going to leave it at that. He worked with the youth, and he does a great job with that. And the Most High has given me a charge to go after men that was in my predicament. You know, I was that young man that I was told that, in class that said, hey, you're part of that 3 out of 5 young men won't live to see 18. Had me stand up in class and everything. I was that young man that was told that had curses spoken over me. But look at where I'm at. You know what I mean? Look at where I am through the Most High. So that's what I want to make it clear here, family. Like I said, I got all kinds of books that I could just pull out the woodwork here, man, that's sitting here. Whole stack over here. I got the whole shelves over here, but I'm just not one to try to brag and have all my stuff behind us. But again, family, show up, man. You'll be surprised what the Most High would do for you. And men, we do not need to be missing in action like Adam when the Most High said, "Where are you, man?" He wasn't looking for Eve. He wasn't looking for none of the animals. He was looking for Adam. Because guess what? Adam, if you really understand his responsibilities, and I'm going to do a special teaching on that. Adam, when you see till, till, think of the word cultivate. When you think of the word cultivate, think about culture. And what someone that's a cultivator, that means that you understand the atmosphere of growth. So Adam had the charge of promoting the atmosphere of growth, abad or abada. That's the ancient Hebrew pronunciation of till, cultivate, culture. Anyway, let me go ahead and get through this right here. Let me go ahead and give some shout outs to you guys. I know that I said I was going to do this live last night, but you know what? I was just getting that time in with the family. You guys know how it goes, man. Sometimes it's good. Not sometimes. Make time for your family. When you start getting older, and I'm seeing that like our daughters growing up before our eyes, you know what? I'm going to cherish every moment that I have with our daughters. I'm going to cherish every moment that I have. Of course, with my wife, I thank the Most High for allowing me to grow older with my wife and just to be able to see all what the Most High has done. So I wasn't online last night, but here I am tonight. And I appreciate the people that we have in the chat that are watching tonight. I know I did not schedule it. So even for us to have the amount of people that's in the chat, thank you and appreciate you. So let's go ahead and give some shout outs to you guys. And we're going to close out this series and we're going to answer additional questions. And I want to encourage those that did not watch part 1 or episode 1 or episode 2, go back and watch those episodes after we conclude this. And it'll help you put everything in the proper perspective. And you won't feel like you're coming in almost like on the tail end of a conversation. All right, here we go. Let me give some peace and blessings to Josiah Ben Yahuda. Really appreciate you. Want to say shalom to you. This journey, want to say shalom to you. Joy, want to say shalom to you. Stacy, want to say shalom to you as well. Brown Sugar, want to say shalom to you. And family, what we do here, even though I say shalom, guess what? It's not a deal breaker over here. If you want to say shalom, we're not caught up in it. We're not so deep that we're on the surface. You know what I mean? Like Nehemiah, when he built that wall, when they built the wall, the goal was, hey, let's deal with the major thing right now. All that other stuff we could work out once the wall built. We could deal with the other stuff. Right now, we need to secure the city. So all that other stuff, all our differences, we could deal with that later. But let's come together and fortify the city. So it's not a big deal what you use, whether you say shalom or shalom or you say salama. It's not a big deal. But anyway, I want to say peace and blessings to you, Brown Sugar. I want to say peace and blessings to you, shalom to you, son of a king. I want to say peace and blessings to you, Yakanana. I want to say peace and blessings to you, shalom to you as well. Appreciate you. I want to say Marcus Johnson. I want to say shalom to you, an Orthodox daughter of Zion. I want to say shalom to you and thank you for the support that you've been that you really have been showing towards this platform and towards the ministry. Really appreciate you. Jay Jax, I want to say shalom to you. My sister Carol, want to say shalom to you. Appreciate you as well. Appreciate you, the support from you over the years. Really appreciate you. Kenneth Walker, want to say peace and blessings to you. Israelite wife Desiree, want to say peace and blessings to you. Kingdom Builders, want to say peace and blessings to you. Major, want to say shalom to you. Let's see here. Yolanda, want to say shalom to you or shalom to you. My cousin here, my family, Dr. Sean E. Carr Sr., Unveiling Truth, want to say shalom to you as well. And family, if you haven't, go visit his YouTube channel, doing some great things out there. Channel is growing, it's on fire. And support his channel, subscribe if you haven't. Really appreciate you. Vivian Arbery, want to say peace and blessings to you. I want to say shalom to you as well. My cousin here, want to say my family here. Shalanda Carr, want to say appreciate you. All praises. That's right. To Yahweh Shai, all praises. Hallelujah. Peace and blessings to, again, son of a king. Appreciate you. Stay on fire. Appreciate you. Hallelujah. Who else do we have here? Yvette Rivera, excuse me. Want to say shalom to you. And let's see, who else do we have here? Mr. The Original, old school. Peace and blessings to you. Want to say pray that you had a great Shabbat. Stacy Pullen, want to say hallelujah to you as well. Appreciate you. That's right. Hallelujah. Now that's a praise report. And I appreciate you, my brother. And that's what we have to do. Start just making ourselves available. Just be available. Show up. Miss Candace, want to say amen. Peace and blessings to you. Who else do we have here as we get ready to get into it? I think I saw. Yeah. Actual Israel. Want to say peace and blessings to you. King Mac, want to say peace and blessings to you. Really appreciate you taking the time out to watch the video tonight. Really appreciate you. And Ruddy, want to say peace and blessings to you. Shabbat Shalom. I pray that you got the necessary rest. Poetic Care. Shauna Leonard. Who else do we have here? Charles, buddy Charles here. Charles West. Want to say shalom to you. And I think we covered. I know others are starting to jump in. The organized Milso. I want to say shalom to you. Lemuria Johnson. I want to say shalom to you. And let's see here. Let's see it. Yakwaba. Want to say peace and blessings to you. Appreciate you. Shalom. Mashpaka. And that means is it well? You know, Shalom Lak. Mashpaka means is it well with you, family? That's what it simply means. Is it well with you? It's a salutation. So really appreciate you, my brother. Thank you. And Miriam B. Estevino. Excuse me if I mispronounce your name. Estin Vol. Excuse me. I'm not gonna butcher your name. Charge it to my head, but not to my heart. All right. But appreciate you, sis, for tuning in tonight. So now that we got that out the way, and we're going to go right into the lesson, and we're going to continue we're going to pick up where we left off a couple of days ago. Right. And I hope and pray that you guys get a chance to watch the previous lessons, just so that way you can put all of this together. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick up where we left off at. We're going to answer those questions. We're going to identify another Shabbat on the calendar. Remember, we identified one Shabbat as we began to, recreate the very first Hebrew calendar that our ancestors identified and honored, right? And we're going to use that calendar to prove the death, burial, and resurrection of the Messiah, right? So we left off at the 15th day, which was a Shabbat. Now we're going to identify another day, so that way we can now recreate the second month. And by recreating the second month, we will be able to recreate the previous month. Because remember, the ancient Israelites, right, their original calendar was 360 days, right? You can read throughout Torah and you will not find a month that's beyond 30 days. You will not find a month that's less than 30 days. You will not find less than 12 months. You will not find more than 12 months. So 12 month years and 30-day months. And of course, 7-day weeks. So what we're also going to deal with too, I'm going to show you a key piece of information. I'm all backwards here. A key piece of information that's going to give you proper clarity on the resurrection, right? The death, burial, and resurrection. All right. So let's go ahead and get it in. Let's go ahead and get started right now. Here we go. All right. Let's pick up where we left off at. All right. Let's identify another Shabbat, right? And they gathered it every morning, every man. Now remember, when Israel came, they came out of Egypt, and now they're making their transition, right? Now they come to a territory of sin, right? Sin, however you want to pronounce it, right? And they rested. So on this Shabbat, the Most High gave Moses a set of instructions on what to do, right, on the next day, which would be the 16th, which would be the first day of the week, that he was going to show him a sign of the quails, that he was going to show him a sign and all these different things, as far as the instructions on what to do from that 16th day of the week to that Friday, or it's not Friday, but that 6th day of the week, right? From the 15th to, if we add, I'm trying to do the math off the top of my head, but if we add that to there, where we're looking at like the 21st or whatever, but the Most High is giving them instructions on what to do for the next 6 days, right? And then rest on the Shabbat. But guess what? We identified what it is, and now we're getting ready to identify another Shabbat. So, and they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating, right? So now they're following the instructions of the manna, right? I mean, to gather the quails, right? To gather this meat, right? So now they're gathering it beginning on the 16th. They're gathering the meats, right? The food, these birds rather, and they're doing it for the next 6 days. And they're going to double up on the 6th day, and then they're going to rest the 7th day. But notice this, now they're carrying out the instructions. It says, and they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the 6th day, they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for 1 man, and all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. Verse 23, and he said unto them, this is that which Yahweh hath said, tomorrow is the rest of the holy Shabbat unto Yahweh. Bake that which ye will bake today, and seeth that ye will seeth, and that which remaineth overlaid up for you to be kept until the morning, right? So this is our calendar. You guys remember the calendar, right? And when we understand, right, they are in this day right here, right? The Most High on the 16th, he's telling them to gather, right? All what, once the evening comes, especially when we deal with the Shabbat. I'm gonna get there in a second. But we told them on the 15th, he gave them instructions, and they carried out the instructions, right? So on the evening, right, they honored that. Right at evening, that's when we went into the first day of the week. Now they carried all of that out. Now they're getting ready to go into it's a week later. They honored what the Most High told them to do for the next 6 days. So now here it is, verse 23 of chapter 16. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Shabbat unto Yahweh. So now what we see here, excuse the typo here, but now what we're saying here, tomorrow, once this evening comes, now we're getting into a new day. Now that we're getting ready to hit the Shabbat. They're on the 6th day, but now gather double up with what you're going to gather, because on the Shabbat, guess what? You're going to rest. We as a people going to rest, a community rest. But then at the same time, remember when we deal with the word Quadash, right? Holy, that means to celebrate, right? That means to celebrate, not just consecrate, but to celebrate. The Shabbat also means, when you go to the details of it, celebrate, not just to rest, but to what? Celebrate. But then we see the word barak, which means to salute. And if you have any type of military past experience, guess what? You know what how important the salute is. So the Most High saluted his creation. He saluted his creation, and he expects his creation to return the salute. All right. So when we see here, now we're going into another Shabbat here, a week later, right? So let's go to verse 26 of chapter 16 of Exodus. It says, 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the seventh day, which is the Sabbath or Shabbat, in it there shall be none. Wait a minute. Guess what we just did here, family? We identified the initial Shabbat, right, which was on the 15th. We confirmed that the 15th is a Shabbat, right? And then we just confirmed another Shabbat, which is the 22nd, a week later, right? And remember, when we dealt with the initial Shabbat, right? It says here, it came to pass that at evening the quails came up. So at the evening, well, on the 15th on the Shabbat, they was given these instructions. On the next day, the 16th, guess what? The quails came up. And so for this entire full week, they did exactly what the Most High had told them to do. So now they're preparing for another Shabbat. Double up on the 21st, right? And then the Most High was going to do what? They were going to rest on the 22nd. That's the Shabbat. All right. So this is where you see the Most High give them this message here, this commandment here, this charge. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Shabbat unto Yahweh. So this is dealing with another Shabbat right here. This is where they received this charge. So guess what we just identified? We identified 2 Shabbats in the second month, and that is important. We're dealing with the second month. We just identified 2 Shabbats. Now we have the information that we need to go back and what? Reconstruct the first month. But notice here, let's deal with some additional information. So it says here, but on the 7th day, which is the Shabbat. So on the 15th, they rested, and the Most High gave them charge that he was going to provide food for them on the what? 16th, right? Right. So which was the first day of the week. Now they carried it out. You know, we see also here is telling us that they carried out those instructions, and following those instructions, right? They worked 6 days from 16th through the 21st. And on the 21st, the Most High gave these instructions for them to what? Rest on this Shabbat here. So 2 Shabbats here. All right. So let's continue to construct the Hebrew calendar, but let's do a recap. So remember, Israel arrived in the wilderness on the 15th day of the second month. On the next morning, the first day of the week, on the 16th day of the second week, Israel began gathering manna for 6 days. After the 6th day of gathering manna comes the next day, which is the weekly Shabbat, right? So the 15th day of the second month was a weekly Shabbat, and the 22nd day was a weekly Shabbat. We just confirmed that. Now that we've identified the 2 7-day Shabbats, we can fully reconstruct, right, the second month. We can also fully reconstruct the first month, and we can actually reconstruct that entire initial calendar. Because remember, Israel had their calendar in other cultures. They had 30-day months and 360-day years and 12-month years. And I proved that, right, in the previous lessons. So now that we have identified 2 7-day Shabbats here, we can fully reconstruct the second month. So if we go here, we have these 2 Shabbats here, right? Now we can go ahead and fill it in, right? The 29th, starting with actually, let's start with the first, right? The first Shabbat, the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, 22nd, 29th. And remember, 30-day months. So that means that now that we reconstructed the second month, we can continue to go back and reconstruct the first month. Here we go. So the second month of the calendar is complete. So now let's map out the 7-day Shabbats of the first month of Exodus. Here we go. So we can now pinpoint the first Passover occurring on a Wednesday, right? Here's the proof, right? This is the second month, right? And remember, right? This we see the first is on a Shabbat. So guess what? That 30th day of the first month will be on that Friday, right? So here we go. Let's go to bring it up, right? So as we see here, right? This is the first month. So remember, that's the first Shabbat of the second month. As I just shared with you, let me go back so you can see, right? First, right? So we're going back. We're backdating it now, right? Now notice how we have the 24th, the 17th, the 10th, the 3rd. This is the very first month of our history for us, the calendar. So now we can actually pinpoint the actual Passover, the Feast of the Unleavened Bread, the day that they selected the lamb, right? We have so much information now that we have this calendar reconstructed. And family, it's right here. It's in the Word. Family, don't listen to when people try to tell you, oh, you can't get anything out of the Word. You need to do this and you need to do that. But guess what, family? I just proved with the Word, right? I just proved. Here we have it right here, right? So this is the first month, right? This is the first month, right? Contrary to what some may say, this is the first month. Right here, the first month. This is the second month. Right? So this will tell you, remember, the first new moon, right? After the spring equinox, this would have been that new moon of the first month. Now we can go ahead and put this calendar together. Now we could go ahead and reconstruct the very first calendar because of knowing that. So with knowing that, we gave confidence. We can say that we can really prove and say that this was the first month. This is the new moon after that spring equinox that we talked about the initial lesson. So I'm not going to go back into all of that, but the 3rd, 10th, 17th, 24th. And this is the last day of the month, right? So the 14th, 15th, and these are some key days that we're going to identify. All right. So the 10th month is when they secured the lamb. Right. And initially I was going to do it. I took it out, but we can also line this up with the Messiah entering into the city. Right. When they began to cry out, Hosanna, we can start pinpointing and getting with accuracy what days they fell on. All right. So the Passover and the day of preparation, the 14th day. Right. So when we look at the 3rd month, right? Or actually, I was putting together something else here. The 3rd month, I'm actually working on something else I was going to add here, but I'm not going to let the cat out the bag here. But let me go here, right? The first Passover fell on the 4th day of the week. Let me say that again. The first Passover fell on the 4th day of, the 4th day of the week. The 4th day of the week, but it's the 4th day as we go back here, right? The 4th day, let me go back here. The 4th day, the middle of the week, the 4th day of this week. That's what I'm saying here. Sometimes when you see your old notes here, you have to make sense of it when I did this years ago. So the first Passover fell on the 4th day in the middle of the week, right? So the first Passover fell on the 14th day of the month. So what day was Hamashiach lynched? What day was he crucified? Well, a key prophecy. And guess what? We can talk about this prophecy, not tonight, but I can give another explanation on this prophecy of the sacrifices ceasing and all that other stuff. But this is a key prophecy that you can also take some, really line this up with this prophecy as well. But we'll deal with that another time. But Daniel chapter 9, verse 25 through 27, right? Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublesome times. Right? This is a different period here. That's a whole nother discussion. Right? After 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off, but not to himself, saying that he's not going to be cut off for himself, but for the people. And the people and the prince that shall come shall, it says, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war, desolations determined. Right? Then we see here, and he shall confirm the covenant within many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Right? So the key quote, in the midst of the week, right? Katazah, right? Or katzah, right? Right? So katazai, excuse me, because we got the yad at the end. So to be katazai or katzai, right? So, and in the midst of the week, right? Now let's see what this word means. Right? Notice what it says. To have, divide, midst. So we're dealing with what? The middle of the week, to cut in half. We know that the fourth day of the week, that is the middle of the week. Okay, so midst means to divide, cut in two. It means middle. What day is the middle of the week? Guess what? I just gave the answer. That will be called, on this current calendar, Wednesday. Right? Back in the time of Moses, they did not use the names for the days of the week. They used numbers. They did not use names for the months. They used numbers, because every last one of those days and months pretty much connected to, when you look at the Egyptian calendar, the Babylonian calendar, the Sumerian calendar, you will see names of those different deities that they worship on those calendars. But in Torah, you're going to see numbers for the days of the week, right? The days of the week, the months, right? The season that we see, Abib, is not the name of a month. It's the name of a season. So that day, when we deal with the middle of the week, that fourth day is called what we call today Wednesday. So when was the day of preparation? Guess what? We confirmed that. The day of preparation is before the high Shabbat, from evening to evening, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 27, verse 62. All right, let's go here. All right, let's go here. It says on verse 61, and there was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. Now the next day that followed the day of preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate. So notice what they say here. Now the next day that followed the day of preparation, right? So the next day that followed the day of preparation. Let's go to Mark. Let's get multiple witnesses here. 15 verse 42. Let's see what it says. And now when the evening was come, because it was the preparation, that is the day before the Shabbat. So the day of preparation is the day before what? The high holy day that we're going to deal with, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Let's confirm this with Luke chapter 23, verse 53 and 54. Notice what it says. And he took it down and wrapped it in linen and laid it in a sepulchre that was hewn in stone, wherein never man before was laid. And that day was the preparation, and the Shabbat drew on. So we know that they had to place our Messiah inside the sepulchre before the high holy day. That was the next day, not the 7-day traditional 7-day Shabbat. This is a high holy day, and I'm going to show you here with the calendar, right? John 19:31. Let's confirm this with another one. Another testimony, the Judeans or Yahweh died, therefore, because it was the preparation, right, that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Shabbat day. Now, when it says bodies, we're dealing with the other two that was up there. For that Shabbat day was an high day, right? We got the traditional Shabbat, but when we deal with the feast days, those are referred to as high days, high holy days, right? Besought Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. So when we go back to this calendar, right, the Passover and the day of preparation, right? Let me say that again. The Passover and the day of preparation. So what was the day of this lynching that took place? Guess what? I just gave you the answer. It occurred on the day of preparation. To accurately determine the date of the lynching, we have to pinpoint the day of the feast, the Passover feast. So the Messiah's death is linked to the Passover, right? Didn't he say that? Didn't he say that to his disciples, right? And it came to pass when Yahushua, right, had finished all these things, he said it to his disciples, ye know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified, right? So the initial Passover, Pesach, preceded the high Shabbat. In other words, the first day of the unleavened bread. So let's give you an illustration. Let's give you the visual, right? This is the Passover. This is the day of preparation. Here, this is the day, the first day, right, of unleavened bread. And if you read the scriptures, guess what? You'll understand that these, this period was not just a 1-day period, right? And we're going to answer this question, right, to make sense, to show you that, guess what? There was more than one Shabbat because they were celebrating 8 days. So that's a whole week of Shabbats, multiple. So let's go ahead and bring it in, family. I'm going to give you clarity here, right? The day of lynching of our Hamashiach occurred on the 14th day of the week, the middle of the week, right? The chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate, right? Here it is, right? So we're getting clarity here, family. So let's go to Numbers chapter 28, verse 16. Let's get some clarity here, right? And the 14th day of the first month is the Passover of Yahweh. And in the 15th day of this month is the what? Feast, right? So the feast of what feast? 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten. So now I'm proving to you that there was more than one feast day in that week. See, we've been institutionalized to thinking of one Shabbat, but there was multiple Shabbats. They were in a week of Shabbats. They were in a week of Shabbats. But the key is they knew that on this high, the initial trigger or the initial beginning, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Marys knew that they could not go into the sepulcher. They could not go there and do what they had planned on doing. We know that that Friday was a Shabbat. We know that that Saturday or that seventh day of the week was the traditional, the 7th-day Shabbat. And so guess what? After that, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm about to go geek mode on you guys. So Hamashiach was lynched the same day of the Passover lamb. So the lamb had to be slaughtered at a very specific time, right? Let me show you here. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly, right? This is actually when you see these Hebrew words here, the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel, guess what? The Most High never said on this rock, I'll build my church, because the church that term didn't exist back then. That term church is a 4th century, is when the church or the Catholics and the so-called Christians and all of them, Christianity, that's when they began to use that word, right? Ecclesia or ecclesia, however you want to pronounce it. That word, that Greek word means called out assembly of Israelites. You could look at the in-depth definition of it. So what the Messiah would have said, because he spoke to his people in their own language. It wasn't in this Greek stuff. It was in ancient Hebrew. It was in Hebrew. So what he would have said to them, to Peter, instead of on this rock, I will build my church, it would be here. On this rock, he will build Kal, which is whole, assembly, Quahal, Idath, Yashara'al. I'll say it all together. Kal, Quahal, Idath, Yashara'al. In other words, it transliterates to the whole assembly of the not congregation, because that doesn't make sense, because these two words is synonymous of how it's being used. Actually, Idath in ancient Hebrew means witnesses. So the proper clarity is the whole assembly of the witnesses of Israel. So when he said to Peter, when Peter bore what? Witness, right? The Most High said to him, guess what? Flesh and blood didn't give this to you. So on this, what? His confession, his testimony, his witness of recognizing the Messiah as being the Son of the Most High. He said on this witness, right? On this testimony, on this confession, he's going to build, right? Quawam, he's going to build, he's going to rise up, right? The whole assembly, Kal, Quahal, Idath, Yashara'al. There it is right there. So it says here, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. Shakat, in the it in the evening, Arab. Okay. So the Passover, Pesach, meal observance is commemorating the night that Yahweh passed over Egypt and killed the firstborn that were not covered by the blood. So for the house of Israel, guess what? Our firstborn was preserved. And guess what? You could go into the book of Numbers and you will understand that the Most High didn't say we couldn't, we were not responsible for dedicating our firstborn to him. He makes it clear we're supposed to dedicate our firstborn to him, our firstborn to him. And what happened? And this, how he handled this whole situation, the priest stood in proxy for every firstborn, because we also see that the Most High had a draft in Numbers chapter 1. So therefore, so that way he's not taxing the same family twice. What he did in that law, right, in the book of Numbers, what he did was the priest stood in proxy for every firstborn of Israel, especially when we're dealing with the men, the boys, right? Read the word, right? It's right there in Numbers to give clarity. But anyway, the Pesach meal observance commemorating the night that Yahweh passed over, skipped over, his judgment skipped over our households, because our ancestors were covered by the blood of the Lamb over Egypt and killed the firstborn that were not covered by the blood. Which means that the Passover or Pesach began at night. Oh my gosh, man, it's right here. The Pesach began at night, right? Here it goes. Exodus chapter 12, verse 12. Notice what it says here. And I will pass through Ibar, right? Ibar, pass through. I will pass through Ibar. That's the primitive root word of where you get the word Hebrew from. I will pass through Ibar, the land of Egypt, this night, right? This night, Layala, right? Or Lila, however you want to pronounce it, this night. Remember, this is the height of the night. This is the midnight. This is the darkest part of the day. So, or the night, should I say, the darkest part of the night. This is midnight, right? The middle of the night. And will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man, beast, and against all the deities of Egypt. I will execute judgment. I am Yahweh. So guess what? The middle of the night, right? So the commandment and honoring the Shabbat. Let's look at the commandment and honoring the Shabbat. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12, verse 14. I'm going to keep highlighting some of these verses here. It says, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep. This is not saying you have an opportunity to decide what you're going to keep or what you're not going to keep. It says you shall keep. Here you're going to see Amar. You shall keep, right? Keep, execute. Remember, When we deal with keep, was actually shall is amar, right? Keep is shamar. Ye shall keep. Amar, we see shamar, right? Execute it a feast to Yahweh throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Like Chris Tucker would say, ever, 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 forever. I will on forever. So what day was the resurrection? Now we back to that question. Let's go to Matthew chapter 28, verse 1. Let's see what Matthew say. Let's see what he says in his testament. In the end of the Shabbat, as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week, Mary came and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. Wait a minute. So it's saying at the end, and we're referring to the 7th-day Shabbat, as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week, the Marys came to the sepulchre. But guess what? The Messiah was not there. He's not there. He's gone. So in the end of the Shabbat, right? Now let's go to John 20:1. The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early when it was yet dark unto the sepulchre. Wait a minute, still dark, and seeth the stone. The stone is already taken away. On the first day of the week, they come in there during the transition of going from the dark portion of the 24-hour cycle to the day portion, right? Now it's in that bakar, right? Bakar. That's now we're in the morning. Now we're in that early morning when we start seeing the dawn of day, so to speak. So the first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early when it was yet dark unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Right? So Mary Magdalene early when it was yet dark. So Hamashiach had already risen by the time the Marys arrived. Right? Let's go to Mark chapter 16, verse 2. And I'm going to do a lesson on verse 16. Chapter 16. I want to do a detailed lesson on chapter 16. And we'll deal with that another time. I'm not going to let the cat out the bag because there's some things that I need to get clarity on chapter 16. Right? I'm not going to deal with it tonight. But verse 2. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came into the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. Right? So let's go to Luke 24:6. See, I'm letting each one bear witness. He is not here, but is risen. Remember how he spake unto you when he was yet in Galilee. Right? So now when we bring this all together, we had the lynching that took place on the 14th, the first day of the unleavened bread, which was the 15th, which is a high holy Shabbat. Now we see that the Marys come on the 18th to see that there's an empty sepulchre. Right? So do we have a problem here? Is this Good Friday that Constantine made up? So how do you get Good Friday? Supposedly, this is on this day, supposedly the the Messiah was lynched, and supposedly he rose early in the morning. Come on, family. Come on, family. The Marys were there early in the morning. He wasn't there. And if he would have went beyond that 72-hour period, then the prophecy that he gave would not be true. If he would have rose less than that 72-hour prophecy, the prophecy would not have been true. So NASA, we have a problem. Anyway, so were there more than one Shabbat this week? I want to prove it to you. We already said it was. Yeah, there were more than one Shabbats this week. Right? Remember, just mapping a few things out. Hamashiach enters the city on a donkey. Right? The Passover day of lynching on the 14th. The 18th, the Marys come to an empty sepulchre. Right? On the 15th, the first day of the Feast of the Unleavened Bread, which that first day is a high holy day. Right? Then we have the weekly Shabbat on the 17th, right? Which is the 7th day. Right? So this period right here are Shabbats. This is still Shabbats right here. But anyway, let's deal with the Greek definition of the word Shabbat. right? Let me show you this here, right? Let me show you this here, right? All right. I'm not sure who Essence is. That isn't 3 days in the tomb. Sis, I'm not sure. I recommend that you go back and watch the previous lessons because I'm actually giving you the proper clarity here. That is 3 days in the tomb. I'm not sure if you're referring to what I said about the what the church tried to say, try to get 3 days into a day and a half. But I did share and show that 3 days in the tomb. All right. 3 days from him being inside the tomb. All right. So I hope I gave you clarity, but if that's what you're saying towards what I just said, yeah, I actually gave proof with the calendar that I shared. That is 3 days, and he gave 72 hours. All right. But anyway, let's look at the Greek definition of Shabbat, right? Sabbatan, right? Notice what it says here. Shabbat, an example, Shabbat, right? Sabbath and versus Shabbat. Family, the actual name, as you see here, Shabbat. The Greek pronunciation of Shabbat is Sabbath, or some would say Sabbat, right? Or Sabbath. Right? Nah, family, that's Greek. The ancient pronunciation is Shabbat, right? Technically, when you guys see me put Shabbat, you'll see me have one B and I'll put it a dash here. Why? Because there's not 2 bayats in this word. So it'll be a Sha, Ba, and then we see the Tha, right? So it'd be Shabbat, right? 3 letters, right? But anyway, so the Shabbat can be a day of a weekly repose, right? From secular avocations. But then we go here by extension. But notice what it says here. An example, the interval between 2 Shabbats. Likewise, in other words, it could be a week. So the plural in all the above applications. Then we see Sabbath day. Then we see week, right? Let's go back here. Let me see if I have it up here so we can see it here, right? So notice what it says here. We see Sabbath day, Sabbath week. We see a single Sabbath. We see Sabbath day, but we see 7 days, a week. So a Shabbat also can be a year, right? Anyway, so Sabbath or Sabbatan in Greek means 7th day of the week. A single day can be a Sabbath. A 7-day week can be a Sabbath, right? 7 days, within a week, a Sabbath. A month can be a Shabbat, as I pointed out, But I want to give clarity here, right? I'm going to give you clarity here, right? For those that can't read Hebrew, those that can't read Greek, and you wanting to start from the beginning, right? And you really can't recognize this, right? I encourage you guys, and I left mine at the temple because I shared that when I'm teaching classes there. But the Interlinear Bible, right, is a good book, a good Bible to get, so that way it can help you understand the actual word for word translation of the scriptures or transliteration of the scripture, of the holy text, right? So I'm going to give you a screenshot from the Interlinear Bible, and I'm going to show you. You're going to see plural here. Now notice what this says here. Matthew 28 verse 1. Now let me show you what Matthew 28 verse 1 says here. And this is coming from the Interlinear Bible. I'm going to give you others as well. Notice what this says here. One lighting into one of Shabbats. Sabbatan, right? That's plural. That's not singulars. That's Sabbatan. It's saying that there's plural, multiple. On lighting into one Sabbaths came, right? You see the full here, but I'm showing you Cain married the Magdalene. So this is letting you know that multiple Shabbats passed when they came, right? You can't get past this. Let me show you the same thing in Mark 16:2. So just 2 or 3 witnesses, but I'm going to give you 4 witnesses. Very morning, or of the one of Shabbats. Wait a minute. We just proved again. We just gave another piece of clarity that there's multiple Shabbats in the week. Sabbatan, that we see it here, Sabbatan. All right. But let me not stop there. Let's go to Luke 24, verse 1. Notice what you see. To the yet one of the Sabbaths of early. Wait a minute. We see another. You see that same plural, right? See the same plural. We see the same plural. So we're seeing that there's multiple Shabbats in this week. All right. Let's go to John 20, verse 1. That's what we're going to see. To the yet one of the what? Sabbaths, one day. So we're seeing that there is multiple Shabbats, and we just confirmed this. I just confirmed this, family. I just confirmed what I spoke, what I shared with you with the calendars. Are there, let me make this clear. Many will say that there's contradictions. Guess what? There are no contradictions. The issues is not the scriptures, the holy text, is those that call themselves approaching the text with agendas. And right now, that one of the contradictions is the agenda of the Christian church, of the Catholic church, how they've been approaching our Dabar HaQuadash. And guess what? When I say Christian church, I'm still throwing the Jehovah's Witnesses up under there. I'm throwing the Mormons up under there. I'm throwing all of them up under there. Right? There are no contradictions. What is the importance of honoring the Shabbat? It is a sign. Remember, I said this Hebrew definition of sign: signal, evidence, mark, miracle, proof. Going back to Exodus chapter 31, verse 12 through 13. Let's see what it says. Right? Speak thou also to the children of Israel, saying, verily my Shabbats, Shabbat, as you see here, ye shall keep Shamar, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generation. Awat, signs. So it's a sign, it's a proof, it is evidence. And the greatest sign, one of the greatest signs the Most High has demonstrated to us, is the resurrection of his son. The resurrection of his son. I got some other signs that the Most High did, like speaking to the children of Israel on the Shabbat at the Mount Sinai. So, family, this is why we have to go deeper in our studies, study to show ourselves approved unto the Most High, not to each other. You guys, I don't have to prove anything to no one but the Most High. And that's where you'll get to true revelations, because you're not trying to prove yourself to man. You want to show yourself worthy to the Most High. Show yourself approved. You want to show the Most High that you can be that sign to others when you give the witness, the testimonies, right? Is honoring the Shabbat and Passover strictly for Israel? We answered this earlier on in lesson number 1, episode 1, but I'll just reiterate this again, right? And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee and will keep the Passover to Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised, and let them come near and keep it, and he shall be one that is born in the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be unto him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourned with you. Guess what? Not a single person that is uncircumcised, as far as men, you are not supposed to take the Shabbat. I mean, the Passover. You're not supposed to do the Passover if you are uncircumcised, whether you Israel blood descended or not. That's the word, right? We can't change that. But here's Isaiah 56, verse 2 through 6, to prove that that the church, these Christians, these Catholics, they all are supposed to honor the Shabbat, and none of them have the authorization, the power to change them, as I proved. They're not Levitical priests. They're not Israelites. Not a single non-Israelite had the power. Matter of fact, even the priests didn't have power to change the Shabbat. They had the power to make how can I put it, situational, I would say, exemptions for a situation for the moment, but not say, hey, you could permanently dishonor the Shabbat. You don't have to honor it. So family, I'm going to say it again. Anyone within the church, especially when we're dealing with the Pope do not have power to do anything. He can tell his people what to do, but he don't have the power over Israel. He don't have the power over the word. The Pope does not have the power to supposedly change the Shabbat. And I proved that it was the Pope that helped spearhead that foolishness to making the Christian Shabbat, so to speak, to be the first day of the week. That's not Israel's. Notice what Isaiah 56, verse 3 through 7 says. Neither let the son of strangers that have joined himself to Yahweh speak, saying, Yahweh hath utterly separated me from his people. Let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. Now we're dealing with the eunuch right now. For thus saith Yahweh unto the eunuchs, to keep my Shabbats and to choose the things that pleases me. Take hold of my covenant. So we know that the 7-day Shabbat is in the foundational 10 commandments, which is the covenant. When he says Shabbats here, he's dealing with the feast days. So saying the eunuch and what? I mean, the eunuch honor the feast days and do the things that pleases the Most High by taking hold, executing the covenant, which lies the foundational 10. And guess what? The Shabbat is part of the foundational 10. He said, remember. He made it clear. He said, remember. Right? But now let's deal with the sons of strangers. Right? But it says, even unto them will I give in my house. Right? Just dealing with the eunuchs. Let's give to sons of strangers. Also the sons of strangers that join themselves to Yahweh, to serve him and to love the name of Yahweh, to be his servants. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath or Shabbat from polluting it. Sons of strangers, you're polluting the Shabbat when you change the Shabbat. When you call yourself not honoring it on the on the 7th day, and you choosing it to make up your own, that's changing it. You don't have the power to change anything in this Dabar HaKodesh. You don't have the power to make any exceptions. It is the high priest, and the Messiah made it clear that also he has that exception because he's what? Our high priest. He is under the order of Melchizedek, Malak Tazadak. So not a single non-descendant of Israel had the power to make any exceptions to the law, statutes, and commandments. And guess what? When you read Acts chapter 13, right, those non-blood descendants of Israel, right, they came in the temple on what day? The Shabbat, and they asked to be taught. And when you do the proper studies, they did that for at least 2 years, learning in the temple on the Shabbat. So the disciples don't have the power to say, hey, you know what? One law going to be for you guys and another law going to be for us, because we see in Torah, we see all through the scriptures that the Most High always had one law. If you're going to follow him, this is the law. You can't make up your own stuff. You can't have 2 separate rules for who comes into your house. You tell your children, don't jump on the furniture, don't jump on the chairs, don't sit on those plastic sofas. You know what I'm talking about. That's old school, my grandmother. But no, y'all sit on the floor, but all your friends could come in with you. They could sit in those chairs. Come on, family. That's the lies that is being taught in Christianity and Catholicism. Also, the sons of the strangers that join themselves to Yahweh to serve him and to love the name of Yahweh, to be his servants, everyone that keepeth the Sabbath or Shabbat from polluting it, and take hold of my covenant. So again, this is still dealing with the feast days, because we know that the Shabbat is covered under the 10 commandments. We know that the 10 commandments is the covenant, and you can't get away from it. And it goes on to say, verse 7, even then will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Right? So we already know the Most High set aside, even at the temple, there was a place set aside for the Gentiles to come and do sacrifices. That's in the word. So what is one of the greatest signs that occurred on the Shabbat? The resurrection, Chaya, of the Hebrew Israelite Messiah. As we highlighted here with the proof of reconstructing the calendar, right? Here we go. He was lynched here on this day. On this day. just after the ninth hour. So just after the ninth hour, if we count 72 hours, right? Full 24-hour cycle, we go from here, 1, 2, 3. How do you end up here? How do you end up 1, 2? How do you end up here? But he's going early in the morning. If you go 1, 2, 3, then it should be just after the ninth hour on the second day. How do you do that? The math doesn't line up. The math does not line up. So remember this, the ninth hour, right? And you take 6 hours away. That'll be 3 p.m. Right? Remember, it's 6 hour gap, right? Ahead of the Gregorian calendar. Right? So again, family, the math doesn't line up. Let's give it a 3-piece. And guess what? That's our last slide right there. So family, I just want to take the time out and do this lesson. I'll drop the link in the comment section real quick. I'll have enough time to, because I was able to get through this pretty quick. Didn't have a lot of meat left on this bones here. So I'm going to copy it. I see Sister Carol here. I'm not sure. I didn't see Jay Highstyle, but I also see my cousin here, Dr. Carr. Dr. Carr, if you want to jump in, feel free to do so. And I thought I saw, let me see if he's still here. All right. But anyway, I'm gonna drop it here real quick. If you guys want to jump in before we wrap up, feel free to do so. All right. So family, I want to make it clear. I did not do this lesson to try to call anyone out, point fingers at anyone, because you know how our people get. When you teach a lesson that may be contrary to what someone else is teaching, unfortunately, people will take it as if you're throwing shots at them. That's not me. But I will say this. We do have a saying back home. If I throw a rock in a pack of dogs and whatever one yelp, you know what I mean? It wasn't done intentionally, but I'm just doing the teaching to knock down the delusions, to prove that our Messiah was not resurrected on the first day of the week, right? He was resurrected on the Shabbat. You can't get away from it, right? That is the Most High's day. All right. So I'll give it another couple of minutes. If Sister Carol want to jump on, if Dr. Carr want to jump on, if you guys want to jump on, I'm gonna leave that there for just another second here. If not, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. But again, family, I really appreciate you guys for the love, the support. I encourage you guys join the Patreon channel. Let's see here. Oh, the first fruits. The first fruits is actually when we get into the first fruits, right? The first fruits is actually when we deal with Pentecost, right? The first fruits is like 49 days or 7 Shabbats plus a day after the resurrection. So that's the first fruits. We're going to do teaching on that as well, because I do want to do a teaching on the Holy Spirit and give some clarity on speaking in tongues and showing that how even the day of Pentecost, we already know that word means 50. So when we understand that, that's the first fruits when they came together. But we do know that and give clarity that they honored the feast days, right? But we can see, but I'm going to show you that the Most High used that time to fulfill the prophecies of Joel. All right. And let me see if I have that here real quick, Doctor. Let me see if I can pull that presentation up just to show you here. Let me see here. Let me see. All right. That was Holy Spirit, right? Let me see here. Holy Spirit. Man, I haven't touched that lesson in a while. Let me pull that up here real quick. Holy Spirit. Let's see here. I think it's this one. I'll pull it up real quick. I'm going to pull this up, and I haven't done this presentation. Man, it's been almost 2 years since I did this presentation. But let me bring it up here real quick, right? I want to share this. All right. Now, family, this is not taking shots at, right, to Martha Menezes, but during this time, this is where the guy in Minnesota was shot 7 times. So I'll put these holes there just to kind of remind us and be reminded of what happened to him. Remember the guy that was shot 7 times, from the police officers because he said he had a weapon and he didn't have a weapon. So that's what this here is. And this is Martha. No, this is what's her name? I can't remember the lady televangelist who called herself speaking in tongues or whatever she was doing. And let me pull it up here. Let me see here to answer that question. It may be inside here. I want to make sure. Let me go here. All right. This is long presentation. So let's see here. Speaking in tongues. Yeah, here we go. Right. Acts 24. 2 and 4. Let's go here real quick. Right. And this is giving you the scriptures here. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, Rawak Alahayim, and began to speak other tongues as the Spirit gave utterance. So these tongues were known, not getting into all of that. So in a nutshell, devout men of Judah who had come from all over the world had just returned to Jerusalem to celebrate the feast of the first fruits. So just giving you clarity to answer that question. During this time, this was like 7 Shabbats in a day afterwards. So I was trying to see if I had it here. It's in a different presentation because I'm trying to find that one. Let's see here. Let me see if it's here. These are old presentations, so I haven't been through them in a while. I got to clean them up. So let's try this one. Yeah, I think this one. This is the one I really break it down. Let me show this one. All right. All right. This is the presentation when I actually break down the Holy Spirit. All right. And when we deal with that word Pentecost, for those that are not aware, Pentecost, right? It means 50, right? So we see in Hebrew, Kamash Yam for 50. But let me bring it up here. Greek definition of Pentecost, right? And we see Pentecoste, and it says here 50th. So all that's just saying 50th, the 50th day. So we're dealing with 50 days after the death, burial, and resurrection of our Messiah. And we see it here. It says, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Shabbats, right? So we see Shabbat Wath shall be complete. So 7 Shabbats after the death, burial, and resurrection of the Messiah. And it goes on to say, even unto the morrow, after the 7th Shabbat, right? Shall ye number 50 Kamash Yam days. All right. So just want to show that to you, cuz I hope that helps you. I hope that gave you proper clarity on that. And feel free, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. Matter of fact, we got to catch up anyway. I been meaning to respond to your text message. I meant to reach out to you today, but if you're available tomorrow, feel free to reach out to me tomorrow. Really appreciate you. Let's see here. Looked like there was a Larry Walker trying to connect, but I don't see you here. All right. All right. So we'll deal with that. So as I share with you, and we could we'll do a teaching on it. We'll deal with it when we deal, coming up, right? Because I just don't want to get into all of that tonight. But really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, and go back over the lesson. Go back over the lesson. Let's see here. Yeah. We'll and Doctor, feel free. Let me know how your schedule looks tomorrow. I'm free tomorrow. I know you have a hectic schedule. I'm off tomorrow, and as far as I'm free tomorrow, and also I'm free Monday. But let's talk. Let's talk. Really appreciate you, and family. I really appreciate the love and support. Appreciate you guys for watching this presentation, and go back over the presentation. Post your comments. Send me your comments, or send me your questions if you have any questions. But with that being said, I'm getting ready to wrap it up, and we want to make sure that we are, again, do everything that the Most High requires of us to do, and honoring the Passover, honoring the Pesach. Guess what? You can honor it at home. Let me say that again. Honoring the Passover, honoring Pesach. You could do that at home, right? If you don't have a place to go to worship, because really when they went to the temple, that was to do their sacrifices. When they gathered at home, they honored the Pesach. So we're going to honor the Pesach this upcoming week. If you're in the area, feel free to reach out, and we'll make sure that we accommodate you when you come. All right. So with that being said, family, in the words of Masha, when Israel was in a place of wanting to go back to Egypt, right? Moses had to say to the people, fear ye not. And this is coming out of Exodus, right? Shamwath, not Shamwath. Yeah, Shamwath, as far as the book of Exodus, Shamwath, the names, chapter 14, verse 13 to 14. The Most High said to him, tell the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, you never have to deal with them ever again. These Egyptians will not have a stronghold over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But family, we have to learn how to hold our peace. And the Hebrew word there is kashak, which means be quiet. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.